welcome back to the Talking with Taylor podcast. I'm your host, Taylor, where we talk with anyone about anything, and hopefully everyone around the table will listen. And so excited for today because I've got a special guest who's going to share some really cool stories. I think it's going to be a great podcast. But I met this guy in 2019 at Hawaii Baptist Academy when I spoke out there, and he's an athlete at the University of Hawaii, plays men's volleyball. And his name is Makua Marumoto, and I'm so excited. It's Marumoto, not Mara. It's Marumoto, and I'm so excited to have Makua on. Makua, how you doing, man?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. So we were talking before we started recording the podcast that the last time that we saw each other was 2019, and Makua was a senior at Hawaii Baptist Academy, where I was able to speak for a week. It was a cool week. It's Christian Emphasis Week. Just a really great school. And so, Makua, before we go into the podcast, what was your experience like at HBA? And I know Coach Oshiro was a great coach, great athletic director. And so what was your experience like at HBA?
It was interesting because the school I was at my junior year was a different school. It was called St. Francis. And it was a really small school. I think 28 kids in my grade, maybe.
Yeah.
Like we're talking small, right? And HBA was already pretty small at like 100 something kids in a grade. But so like in like winter break of 2018 going into 2019, my junior year, they were just like, school's out of money. We're closing at the end of the school year. So that's how I kind of got to HBA especially through volleyball with the coach there.
Yeah.
And some on the team. And so then it was a new school senior year, which isn't always the easiest, but I had some friends on the volleyball team, so it wasn't the worst. And then, I spent the first semester there and then the first 2 months of the second semester and then COVID. So I had not even a full year at HBA, but it was really cool. I mean, I played in the basketball team there. That was really fun. I played on the volleyball team for about a month before the COVID shut everything down, but it was cool. I liked it.
It's a great school. It's really unique too. It's like, I didn't know what to expect. I'd never been to Hawaii until I was able to go out there and speak. And I just think it was a really cool, because I got to meet you, got to meet a lot of, I met Noah and Coach Oshiro and David Green, who was a chaplain there, correct? And so he was a chaplain, and David's a dear friend of mine, and so just really cool to meet all the connections and to also kind of see the culture, not just of HBA but Hawaiian culture too. And so that was really cool. But after HBA, after Hawaii Baptist Academy, you went on to play men's volleyball at the University of Hawaii. And so what has it been like playing men's volleyball there?
Pretty crazy, as an 18-year-old kid, when you met me, I just couldn't tell you the type of experiences that I thought I was going to have on this team. I mean, I spent 3 years here now, and just the things that I've been able to experience through the program is unlike anything else. Like, genuinely, just stuff I actually never thought I'd probably experience, like coming in. And the program has been really, really beneficial for me outside of volleyball too. So all around, it's been a pretty great experience.
Well, so it's a unique sport, men's volleyball. So let's talk about that for a moment, because when I played, it was, I guess, 2011 to 2014, 2015 college football, and you're playing college men's volleyball. And so I think it's, regardless of the sport, whether it's football, men's volleyball, men's basketball, women's volleyball, whatever it is, being a college athlete brings a lot of different things to the table. And so what are some of the things that you've learned as a college athlete? Like I learned that, hey, if I don't manage my time well, goodness, it's going to take me over. And so is that something that you've experienced in the sport that you play?
I would say, like, you can break it down into two different categories. Like, there's the stuff you learn as an athlete that you take and use as lessons in life. And then there's stuff that like is strictly volleyball or
Yeah.
strictly your sport, you know? And so I've learned a lot in both for sure. I think one of the biggest things I learned is like how responsibilities really work. I think like there's a huge emphasis in our program on like, here's a team, you have to find a way to contribute to the group, but you're not even really able to contribute to the group unless you're on top of all your personal things,
Mm.
right? So it defines us as kind of a young man, especially like on the men's side. It's like what they talk about a lot is like in our program, like your responsibilities, what it means to be a man, and taking care of that as a preface to being
Yeah.
able to contribute to the team.
Well,
You know,
let's think about it this way. So if you're not taking care of Makua the man, you'll be of no use as Makua the volleyball player.
exactly.
And so I think that's a great lesson, not just for the volleyball player, but for the young men that are watching you guys. Because let's face it, you got young men, you got young boys watching you guys compete, and they say, "Hey, I want to be like you. You know, I want to be like Makua when I grow up." And so if you can set the standard now, saying, "Hey, I'm not going to just be excellent on the court. I'm going to be excellent in my life." Man,
Yeah,
that's a big deal. And that also separates the great ones from the good ones, because you got to be good to play college ball. But if you want to excel and be great, you got to make sure you take care of your personal life as well.
for sure. I think like that's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned just on the life side is like, I mean, I have a girlfriend, and eventually you'll have a family. And it's just like, especially that's bigger than volleyball or your sport, obviously, right? Like
Yeah,
taking care of your family, it's just another, like your family is just another team in a sense. And it's like you don't take care of Makua the man, you cannot be Makua the family member or be the best Makua the family member.
I love that, man. That's so true. And so before you can, John Maxwell talks about this, one of the greatest leadership gurus out there. He says, before you can lead anyone else, you got to lead yourself, right? And so,
Yep.
man, it's incredible to see. Like I said, I met you as 18-year-old Makua, and now, you were a young man then, but it's so incredible to see how you've matured as a young man and really come into your own and become not just a great volleyball player, but a fantastic young man. So excited to see the future. And so, but when you talk about men's volleyball, obviously the University of Hawaii, I think, is the standard. Okay. And so you've got, now I'm biased, so I'm gonna say the University of Alabama is the standard in college football. And a lot of people would agree, but then you got some people over in Georgia who would disagree. But I'm gonna say we're still the standard no matter what. But if you look at volleyball, men's volleyball, the University of Hawaii is the standard. So being able to play for an incredible program like that, let's talk a little bit about the success of Hawaii's men's volleyball program.
Okay. Um, I think that the success, it starts with, honestly, I think it starts with the community. Hawaii is a special place, right? So there's like, I would say that there's in America, there's two places that volleyball is really, really big, you know?
Yeah,
For the men, especially. For girls, it's really different, but for the men, it's
yeah,
California and Hawaii. And
yeah.
they're by far the two biggest places that men's volleyball's played, and it's not even close.
Right.
Um, so I would just say like, uh you go to anywhere else. You see I mean, a bigger game, you see a thousand people,
Yeah.
right? At a men's volleyball game. And when you're at the University of Alabama, like you went to a women's volleyball game or a men's something game that wasn't as big a sport, right? Like there just weren't that many people. In Hawaii, we don't have pro sports. I
Yeah.
think that's like a really good precursor for like the community just really it just really rallied behind us, especially like when we started trending upwards. And this is, we're talking 2011 through 2014. Like that, I was a 10-year-old kid going to watch these games as we were trending upwards. Like more and more people started getting interested. So now it's just like there's buzz around the program, and it correlates, like I would say, like, we play every single home game on TV,
Yeah.
and it's like, it's just, they're on a given night, 6,000 people,
Wow.
and on any big game, 10,300 sold out, which
Wow.
is, for volleyball, is just,
Well, that's incredible regardless of the sport. I would say, the sports, obviously football is going to pack a stadium, but any other sport, baseball, like basketball, men's basketball, a hard sellout of over 10,000 is an incredible sellout. And it
yeah,
speaks to a couple things, I think, of men's volleyball in Hawaii. It speaks to the excellence, the standard of excellence that you guys have, but also exactly like you said, the community that that your community in Hawaii has really rallied, like you said, rallied behind the sport. And so, because they can relate, right? Everybody wants to play volleyball. Everybody. There's two things I learned. And now I'm not a local by any means, but two things I've learned is this: number one, that y'all love to surf, right? And
yeah,
you love to play volleyball, and you're fantastic at both. And so, so the fact that you relate with your community, man, that's I think in anything, before you can have success, is your community going to be behind you? And so, yeah,
yeah. I think, and that's another thing, is like, our program puts a huge emphasis on, like, our coach says a lot, like, the success that we've had as a program is not for the people of Hawaii, but because of the people of Hawaii.
man,
It's
yeah,
it's impactful, but they stress for us, as much as you can, not only giving back to the community, but being an active member. Like, local kid or not, you're living in Hawaii. It's a small community, right?
yeah,
Regardless of, like, actual number of people, because there are a lot of people on Oahu for such a small island,
yeah,
which I'm sure you've seen when you came down here. But, like, you are existing in this space. Excuse me. You're existing in this space, and it's on you as a man to, and especially as someone who benefits so much from the community, to give back to it
that's good.
and play your active role in it. So I think that that's another huge thing, is that I feel like us as men's volleyball players are very relatable in the community, because people either come to see us play and see us as, some of the top college athletes in our sport. And then also, if you're not coming to watch, see us on TV in your living room, but then you go to Safeway or the grocery store, right? Like, that's our grocery store.
Yeah,
And then you
yeah,
see us there, or you see us eating at Koa Pancake House. That's our favorite restaurant. And you can just talk to us. And I think that that's, like, what makes us so relatable.
bro,
Um,
yeah.
so I,
I
I just, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I agree with you completely, man. The fact that you're a part of your community, you're relatable, and yeah, man. And I love what your coach said. I think that it's not because of the people of Hawaii, but it's for the people of Hawaii, man. And that's a different mindset right there. That mindset changes it. It really fuels the fire. It makes you want to be successful, right?
Yeah.
That's good
I
stuff.
think it's very, like, we just have had so many emotional stories. Like, that's the thing, is that, like, you think that you're, like, a big tough guy. And then you hear some of these stories from our fans,
Mm,
and it's just different.
yeah.
Like, it's just different.
Well,
Uh
you think about the kid that saved up his money to come watch you play. That changes, changes how you perform. It
I
really does.
I think a lot of this is a very personal story to our team, and this is, like, something that happened this year. Um so, like, we as a team went through our ups and downs, as any team does, but best team in the country and most hyped team in the country in the middle of the season,
Mhm.
and play Penn State at home in our own tournament. Like, they're not in our conference. Like, this is an invitational, right?
Yeah,
I mean, great team, 8,000 people, probably, maybe nine. They're a great team.
yeah,
Wiped the floor with us, right? They had the game of their life.
yeah.
And they're a great team, and then they played out of their minds. So they outclassed us that game. And that was on a Friday night. We come back in Saturday, and Saturday we play UCLA at home,
Big
right? And
game.
that was the 1-2 matchup at the time. I mean, we'd sold that game out when we released the date.
Yeah,
Like, it was, and then our coach kind of like, we sit down at like maybe like noon in our locker room, and he has an email printed out from a fan with a picture, and he just hands it to our captain, he's in this picture with this lady, and he says, I can't read this out loud without I can't get through this. I want you to read it. And so it was a wonderful woman who, she was a single mother. She was a caretaker of a 31-year-old, kind of, I think it was a disabled son. I think he was autistic.
Yeah.
And in the fall of 2022, her daughter committed suicide. And so she said that she was depressed, obviously, for a couple of months and had her demons. And so she said that the one thing that kind of kept her going was like, she wouldn't leave the house unless it was to come watch a game.
Oh, man.
And like she said, like, we're kind of what keeps her going. And we walk out to play UCLA, and she's like sitting on the court behind our bench. And it's just like,
Wow.
That was one of those moments where it was just like, you're not as tough as you think you are, you know? And it was just like, it just showed us how much bigger that this program is than any individual.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh man, that story is incredible. And that story, I mean, wow. I mean, you really don't, like you said, there's really no words to express, but other than, man, that's incredible. And it's bigger than volleyball. What you do is bigger than the game, because that lady, you guys you helped her keep going, man, in the darkest of days. And so, well, that's incredible, man. Well, we're coming to an end of our time, but I want to, before we come to the end, I want to get a chance to talk to you about your NIL stuff, your NIL deals, because like I said, I'm jealous. I'm envious because, you know, in 2011, 2014, 2015, you couldn't even go out to lunch with anybody, or it's an NCAA violation. And now, but you guys very, very much deserve the NIL deal, and people have fought for this for a long time. And I'm a big proponent of the NILs. And so, so let's talk a little bit about your NILs, and then one that you're going to kind of dive into as well towards the end. But let's hear about them.
Okay. I would like to first shout out my NIL agent, Ryan Kalasi. He's one of our broadcasters actually, but he has a media company and does a called RKT Media Hawaii. He's my NIL agent and has worked out a good amount of deals with me.
Great.
But I mean, my financial institution that I represent is Bank of Hawaii.
Okay.
So they're really cool. They're big. They're a corporate sponsor of UH. They sponsor a lot of athletes. Who else? I have a nutrition company. So I get all my protein and pre-workout for free.
Yeah.
All SEC approved, of course.
That's right. Say that again. I couldn't really hear it. Say that again. I want to make sure the listeners hear that name.
It's called Waves Lifestyle.
Okay.
It's a nutrition company based out of Hawaii. It's very new, but it's local. So try to stay local as much as I can. I do have there's a Adidas campaign going on right now for Adidas schools. I'm part of that.
Awesome.
So, but then, and then I have a couple Hawaiian brands, David Shepherd Hawaii. It's an Aloha wear brand, which is very specific to our community. And then, excuse me. Been going through a little bit of a cold.
You're good.
But then my biggest by far deal that I've worked out kind of is Defend Hawaii.
Let's hear about it and show them your shirt.
Defend Hawaii.
Yes, sir.
It's a very cool local brand. It's been around for a long time. It's really big in the Hawaiian community. But I mean, it was like growing up, my biggest idol, who he played in the NFL, his name's Brian Sweet. He is my older cousin. Wow. And
awesome.
He had a 4x5 foot sticker on his back window of Defend Hawaii. It's our brand, Hawaii, for sure.
Yeah.
And I was beyond stoked when they offered me an NIL deal. And this is where we piggyback off the program's values, kind of.
Yeah.
And so Defend Hawaii is they're all about giving back to not specifically just the Hawaiian community, but the Native Hawaiian community.
Yeah.
Because I'm Native Hawaiian, and as a community, we struggle. We struggle a lot. And so the way that we worked out the deal is we created a 501c, right? And there's a school called Aha Punana Leo, and it's a Hawaiian immersion school. So I don't know if you knew too much about immersion schools, but they teach normal school in the Hawaiian language instead of English.
Very cool.
There's native born speakers. I would say, I think right now it's less than 200 for the Hawaiian language in the world.
Wow.
So it's struggling and, you know, rapidly dying. So we're trying to preserve the Hawaiian language and the Hawaiian culture. So everything that I have in commissions is donated to my 501c and then to the school. So I just didn't really know what the reaction was going to be, kind of what the support was going to be, and it has been crazy.
Wow.
Like, so everything that I make off commissions, I think, which is 20% of every sale used with my name, goes there. But then they gave me a really cool opportunity to make a signature shirt.
All right.
And I have a signature shirt. And it's like, it has a little logo of me and my name on the back with one of my tattoos, that like my Native Hawaiian tattoos I have on my back.
Yeah.
And they have like, so 33% of that goes straight to the 501c. And I didn't really know what the reaction was going to be on that either. But, you know, we, like, the first time we dropped that, I think we had 200 shirts. We sold that out the first day.
Wow.
Like, I think we had to restock like 1,000 or so shirts, and we're getting closer to selling those out. But I mean, we're talking about, you know, in a couple of days and over the course of the last year working with them, we've gotten pretty close to, I think, raising like $10,000 for the Hawaiian immersion school. And so I think just like the first thing that I personally thought of when NIL became a thing was just like, how can I use something that could benefit me to benefit something that is larger than me? Because at the end of the day, like, without the community that we grow up in, without the community that supports our program, like, I wouldn't even get an NIL deal, you know, like I wouldn't even be in this position. So I'm really big on giving back to, almost kind of like giving back to the hand that feeds you, you know?
Yeah.
And so I was really blessed to be able to do this. And I would say that I don't benefit off this deal because I don't financially benefit, but I benefit so much from being a member of the Hawaiian community as a human being that I can't actually ever pay that. So that's that deal.
Well, Makua, that's incredible. And I think everyone listening that has listened to this podcast today will say this: they love the man Makua, and they love the character behind the man Makua, because the NIL deal is the ones that benefit you are great, but this one is special because it's bigger than Makua, right? It's bigger than you. It's bigger than any NIL deal that I could think of. And I think it's fantastic that you're giving back to something that is near and dear to you, and that's your culture. I mean, that's your community. And so if you want to save a community, if you want to save a part of your history, a part of your culture, if not me, then who, right? And so, man, I applaud you for stepping up to the plate. And everyone listening, hey, look, we're going to have all the links to all of his NIL deals, but definitely Defend Hawaii. All right. And so I'm going to go buy me a Defend Hawaii shirt. I'm in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and I'm going to rock it here in Tuscaloosa because I'm so thankful for Makua, so thankful for our friendship. And just so I appreciate you being on the podcast today, and hopefully we'll be able to get you back on again soon.
I appreciate it. Sounds good. Good to see you.
All right. Thank you, Makua.